Hey guys, Forsaken here, and today I want to talk about my first legendary campaign with the Empire. So you can see that's it, kind of. This is all I own at the moment. It's turn 114, and I basically got everything south of the river here, with the exception to those Dwarven kingdoms and the one down here, the Paravan ones, and those ones like way back at the south. So what I want to talk about here is the differences between legendary difficulty and other difficulties, so you know what you need to adjust, because there are quite a few things to talk about. So let's start first by basically covering what I did and how my game went here. That's the wrong screen. I need this one. So if we look at turn 1, you can see this is pretty normal stuff. By turn 5 I owned all the right lands, and this is really important that you get those. And then I dealt with some orcs here, some other stuff. I dealt with some invasions, and then I immediately went for marine land as soon as possible. The reason for this is that you really need the marine land settlement here. You really need it, this one, because the port is actually insane. Like, this gives you an income boost, and this can, like, you can see this is like one city and gives you plus 3,000 income. If you look at Altdorf, this is what the whole region gives me, plus 3k. At this, or like what just Altdorf gives me, excuse me. But you can see that those three things, those three settlements with all fully or almost fully maxed out income buildings, just give me what one city gives me right here. And that's like the power of the port here. You can see like plus 500 and plus 1,000 income, up to 2k income per turn with this port over here. That's insane. That's like absolutely insane. So you need to get this city, I think, on Legendary to stand a reasonable chance. So get Marienburg ASAP. That's the first thing. The other thing is, I think I was forced to do it, but I think it's a good call. Try to expand south if possible. As you can see, I still have most of the older Empire factions that are not north up to the river, but I basically confederated them all. And that's the thing that you will do once chaos shows up and everyone starts uniting under your banner. You will just confederate your Empire factions. So I don't think it's a priority to fight them. I think it's much better if you fight at all to fight south. Get those those factions like right over here, Get those provinces so you have more income, and when possible try to get a reasonable amount of coverage that you are not really attacked from sides. Like, get those provinces if possible, and then go down here and then maybe get those two, so that you can basically have a full enclosed line of settlements. And the thing is that otherwise, if you don't go south, those factions here will confederate themselves and they will form one strong nation that you eventually have to take on later. So I think keeping those kind of small and getting a really strong economy going behind the lines to chaos right over here is a pretty strong way to go about it, because you will get those empire nations later on anyways by confederating them. So that's the thing, All right, so let's talk about more differences between the, or like the most differences and the critical differences between legendary and lower difficulties. The first one is public order. As you can see, public order gets -8 just by having the difficulty level. I wish I was the AI, because the AI gets +10, which is like pretty insane. But the thing is that you can no longer skip public order buildings in your provinces. And you can see this is like right here in Reichland, in my main town, but that's, or my capital town. But that's just because I was attacked and Runberg was raised, so I needed to rebuild it, and I needed public order at this point because my armies were somewhere else. So this is basically improvised right now. But if we go through most of my provinces, you will see that I will have one or sometimes even 2 public order buildings in one province, and I still barely get plus 5 public order. And you will also see that I even go for plus 4 public order in my commandments in all provinces I own. And that's how much trouble public order is on legendary difficulty. And sure, you can, and I had at one point really a lot of different uprisings and rebellions, and you can just like crush them turn after turn after turn. But eventually chaos will get really powerful, or other factions will get really powerful, so you cannot spare these armies for crushing those rebellions over and over again. And you can't really spare those agents, you know, for example this guy here, to give me plus 7 public order every single turn, because you need them to assassinate the agent spam from chaos, for example. So getting those public order buildings up is really important. And on the same note, it's really important to get 1 temp Shrine of Sigmar, and then maybe if you can upgrade them in every province as well, because as you can see, even though I have that, I'm still only minus 0.2% on corruption. So corruption becomes quite the problem if you are not prepared. So getting those shrines in every province, I think, is really important. And it gives you more warrior priests and more heroes. So those are really, really useful, because what's really important too is that you have a really, really solid income. And why is that? Why do you need a really solid income? It's not just for armies, we will come to armies later, but also for agents, because my strategy of dealing with agents is that I will recruit agents and then I will send them on missions every turn, or deploy them if they are like on march to a mission, because you need to level them up really quickly. And once chaos starts to show up, you need to assassinate those agents every turn with every agent you have until they die. That's how I deal with it. And the only limitation for this is money. You know, once you have enough money to basically keep attacking those chaos agents every turn like 10 times, I exaggerate here a little bit, but that's basically how you want to think about it, then you need money. And this is really important. Get your money up really early and get inexpensive armies. So talking about armies, get inexpensive armies. You can see I'm at turn 114, and my main army is, let's see, where's my dude here? Thinking like that, yeah, in like Altdorf here. That's like my main army right here, and that's not really that different to early game, you know. And that's a thing that I found out. I have like 6 standing armies right now, 6 almost full stacks. Like I think I'm missing 1 or 2 stacks here that are not full, but other than that, I have like this one is not full, but that's it, I think, and maybe this one. Let's see. Oh, this one is full as well. So I have like 1 not full stack of army right now, and that's it. And to do that, you need to focus on inexpensive units like swordsmen, like crossbowmen, until you really need to upgrade to handgunners and greatswords. But unless you really need those troops, and I think you don't really need them at this time in the game, you do not want to get them, because you do want more income. You want to upgrade your other cities. You want to go for more stacks. Then like you basically want to go for more stacks instead of a few really strong stacks, because what will happen is chaos will just run by. There's chaos army right here, and if this stack would have been really expensive, I would need to chase it turn after turn after turn while having thousands of more income loss, because I had way more expensive units than I have right now. So what I want to do eventually is, I think, to get like 1 or 2 really upgraded armies, really, really strong armies with great swords, with high artillery, stuff like this. But then still keep 2, 3, 4 smaller armies around, which then have inexpensive units, so I can chase down those stacks here and defend multiple times or multiple locations at once, because there's another army over here, there's an army over here, there's an army over here. So that's like already 3 armies that, or like 4 armies that are in my area. I'm not even talking about the armies that may be hidden up north here that I need to worry about. So I need all those armies to kill the 4 armies that are already on my land. And that's basically what you need to do. You need to get more armies instead of a fewer armies, I think. Because, to be honest, battles will be decided by technology upgrades most of all in the early and mid game, so you don't need those really expensive units. So the other thing I want to talk about is it's extremely hard, and that's a major difference, even to very hard, to get trade agreements. Like on very hard, you can get few trade agreements early game. Like by turn 2, you can have like 2 or 3 trade agreements. By turn 5, you can have 1 more, and stuff goes on. You can have a lot of trade agreements very early, which makes these trade resource generating buildings really good. They are not on the Tailor Guild level good in terms of income, but they are pretty decent. And the thing is, they are definitely not on Legendary. Like until turn 50, I didn't have a single trade agreement. It's also the reason why Marineburg here is still not upgraded, because this would give me like 50 more income basically, and a little bit from these resource production, but not by much. So these buildings on Legendary are not that much of a focus, I think. So that's the thing that you need to keep in mind. Don't really upgrade those unless you have a lot of money to spend, and I really mean a lot, because even saving up 10k can be really good to upgrade really big things. Like for example, the city takes 6.4k to upgrade, and that's a lot, and you will do this multiple times. So saving up money is not a bad thing. You don't really have to spend it all every turn for everything possible. But you of course should for like income buildings, for public order buildings. To level those up, you really need this. But other than that, save your money, don't go into those trade things on Legendary. That's a tip for Legendary. Don't really focus on that unless you come across 2, 3, 4 trade agreements where you will get long-term value out of those buildings to get the costs of those buildings back again. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the expansion to the south. I basically got this river here as my border, and those factions up here got wiped out in like 20 turns, completely razed everything. Chaos just like steamrolled them. And the thing is that you do want to expand south first, I think. If you can choose it after taking Marineburg, that's the first thing you need. Then expanding south is, I think, much better because it keeps those countries from confederating, and you will get those empire nations anyways by confederating them later. So there's no point in finding them early other than basically getting cities you will get anyways a little bit sooner, but you will prevent these southern nations from confederating themselves, getting a really strong nation up in this region. But instead you will conquer this, and you will have really protected, good base of operations basically, and providing income for you holding this northern front up at the river. So that's how I went about expanding, declaring war, stuff like this. It's really important. And the other thing is that you need to plan ahead every single move. So let's talk about planning ahead on settlements. What you will get quite often is this, like just empty spaces in your settlements. And that's not because I messed up, I don't know what to do, but I know exactly what I want to do, which is I want to get the engineer's workshop, because I have this building over here, so I want to get the Luminarch eventually, I think, and I want to set up for this pretty heavy artillery in this city. And this is stuff that I want to do in every city possible, that I want on every region, province possible, that I want to plan ahead. And this means that you will leave these slots open for a long time in multiple cities. Same over here, You want to plan them out, and then you want to get the buildings you want in there, but you want to wait until you have enough money for it. And that does mean that having empty slots in a region is a-okay, because what do I want to get here? Like growth? I don't think so. Maybe a wall, but it's so protected, I don't really need it. And then what's left? Like there's something like this in a region where I don't have any military buildings? I don't think so. So the question is, what do you get here? And that's something you have to really keep in mind when you do manage your buildings. Plan ahead with your provinces. The next thing, plan ahead with your army. Plan it with your army composition, when to upgrade your army composition, stuff like that. The thing is that you also need to keep in mind army movement and army positioning. So, for example, right here, that's where I normally defend my provinces. And in the earlier parts of the game, when Chaos came on rolling in, I had 2 stacks of army over here. I had 1 over here and 1 holding Altdorf. And this basically shut off Chaos almost completely. Some came over the sea to attack Marienburg, but that's it. And you really want to plan your army movements, and especially taking back raised settlements. Like I had this one raised. My best army came in here. I thought like, okay, like I defeated every single Chaos stack over here, so I just take it. Little did I know that there was a whole Chaos stack right here in ambush stance, and they basically came in the turn after and obliterated what was left of my army because I colonized this settlement here. So really plan ahead, keep an eye on armies of your opponent, even if they don't turn up again for like 3 turns. And be mindful of your army positioning. Again, take choke points if possible. And the last thing I want to talk about, or like one of the last things I want to talk about is basically going over your agents. Do specialize, sorry for that, agents in different roles, you know. You can see this one, I didn't go to war with, or like go for any war trades, basically, any fighting combat trades. I did go for public order, and I did go for minus corruption, and I basically went for more public order right here. You can see I didn't really give him the best equipment available. I have much better equipment, which I didn't give him. And that's the thing, like specialize your agents, specialize your generals, your lords, and have them filling different roles. That's really important. And supplement that by giving them the corresponding equipment. So another thing is get those agents leveled up. Like you can see, there's a 15 rank 15 agent, and this is rank 6, and this is rank 4. Why is that? That's because I leveled up my agents pretty quickly, sent them on missions, sent them on sabotage missions. If they do take camp somewhere, do get them deployed so they can gather experience. And then once Chaos starts showing up with a lot of agents, like I had like 6, 7, 8 agents at one turn, assassinate them every single turn. And that's why economy is so important, because you will have all those agents, and you will need to assassinate enemy agents every single turn, every single time with every single character. So that takes a lot of money, and that's basically how I prevent agent spam. I don't have any mods. I don't have plus movement mod for those raiding armies, and I don't have any agent preventing mods, and I'm doing fine. Like, the agents here are completely cornered, they are way out leveled, and I'm doing really fine. So just try to kill them every single turn. Try to level up certain heroes, try to prioritize them with killing stuff so they level up even more. So I have like 2 level 15 guys here, this level 14 but almost level 15, you know. And this is basically just by killing those things every single turn. Like this. And now I have another like rank 50, you know. And that's really important. And as you can see, I didn't spec for combat. That's another thing. I'm just not in a position where I can do that. Because the agents are so important in keeping public order down, in keeping corruption down, in killing enemy agents that I'm not really comfortable, at the moment at least, to spec them into combat, so I take them to battle because I need them at other places. So that's maybe a thing that I should do. I should incorporate them more into combat, but I'm playing on the highest unit sizes, so I think Magic is pretty weak on those anyways, but I try to keep those for dealing with enemy agents. Try to do this as well maybe. It's just something that worked out for me, so maybe it will work out for you. And the last thing I want to check about, or like 2 more things. So firstly, you want to manage your equipment. Like, I tend to go over this like every 5 to 10 turns. Go here, check your equipment, and give your best characters the best weapons and best stuff you have, except for, you know, agents maybe, because they don't really need this unless they are in combat, you know, like in a battle. And as I don't use them in a battle, I do not need to give them good items, but I check followers here for my main hero, Karl Franz here, I do check his equipment very often. You know, he gets the best of the best I can afford. And one more thing is that, as you can see right here, I don't really do quests. That's not because I don't like them, it's just that I don't prioritize them. And I didn't really have 5k in the bank to do those and reasonably afford new armies, upkeep new armies, get my settlements going at any point up to this point. So they are not a priority. If you can get those, it's really nice, you know. You can get, for example, I think the silver steel here, yeah, you can get this, which will help you a lot. This is like a really, really good item. But this also just costs money, and if you don't really have money to spare, you don't really have to do this. I should and I could probably do this pretty easily, but you don't really have to. And the last thing I want to talk about is the technology tree here, right over here. I did get disrupted pretty hard because the city where I planned to do blacksmithing got overrun while I wanted to get this up, so I didn't have it. So I needed to go with the harbor chain here, which I didn't really want to. And this is stuff I would rather invest into blacksmith early on, and of course Temple of Sigmar. So I think for the ideal research for the moment is like the rallying field stuff. That's really important for early game, I think. Then I would go blacksmith for armor, or like for weapons and then armor. And then I would go into barracks for the volley here. And then I would go into Temple of Sigmar for public order and corruption reduction, and then get the other stuff that I have right now. That's really important, I think, to go for the research thing. So I think that's what I wanted to share in this video. I'm really enjoying the legendary difficulty, even though it's quite more difficult and quite different than the other difficulty modes. I think it's also a good place to start after you've got some experience with Total War Warhammer. I think that it plays just so differently from settlement management, that you need the shrine in almost every settlement, that you need the public order building in every not settlement, every province, you know, that you need to play against much more aggressive AI and stuff. These things, they really, really require different things that you need to do, different attempts, different ways to deal with them than you do need on lower difficulties. And I think it makes the game much, much more fun, at least for me. And I think it's best if you get used to them pretty early on. So after you finish the campaign on normal, try very hard. If you finish the campaign on very hard, try legendary. I didn't even finish the campaign yet, and I'm doing pretty well, I think, on legendary. And that's because I learned a lot of things in those other difficulties, but I switched kind of ASAP. And that's pretty good, I think. So I would recommend trying out legendary at least. Give it a try, you know. If you get Rufflestorm, give it a try again. Give it a try again. Learn from your mistakes. And if you don't see any land, by all means, go ahead, lower the difficulty. But beware that the lower difficulty requires different things, you know. You don't need this public order building as much. You don't really need this corruption cleansing building in every province, stuff like this. So that's just my experience with legendary, some tips, some tricks, some experience, some things I did during my campaign I wanted to share with you, so maybe you can learn a thing or two from that. And if you have any feedback, any criticism, anything like that, just leave it in the comments below. And I will see you next time, most probably with, I don't know, another update, 100 more turns into this campaign. I think this is the most likely. So I see you then, and keep on fighting, keep on winning. Bye bye, see you next time.